On paper, I'm a teacher. I've got a sign on the door, a desk with a rolly chair, and an email signature with an inspiring quote that I change every month. And yet, what that email signature should actually claim is that I am a student. I may teach a letter or two, how to raise a hand, how to take turns, but really my brain takes in much more each day than it doles out. And I truly hope that I never get to the point where I'm not learning something new every day, because I feel like if that ever does happen, I need to wheel that rolly chair over to another new adult student. I'm glad to say that because I let myself be open to it, autism has taught me oh so much. Here's what I've got so far. Autism has taught me not to generalize. Categorically speaking, autism busts the seams of its category. I find myself every once in a while wanting to say something like, oh, she's like so-and-so, and it's almost always such a stretch that I shouldn't be making. Each tiny teacher in my class is like himself or herself. And while a characteristic may pop up in a few of those small teachers, it's no more polarizing than a geographical similarity. You're from Iowa? So you farm and eat a lot of corn, right? Well, I do love me some corn, but I've never farmed anything except on a tiny screen. And those friends with autism, they each have their own personalities, characteristics, and ways to do things. Autism has taught me to listen with my whole body. Nonverbal is a term thrown around quite a bit in the autism classroom, and yet my nonverbal teachers are actually quite verbal. They just verbalize in their own way. And when I get myself out of the way, I can hear them. And when I really get myself out of the way, I can understand them. Autism speaks in so many ways that I can hear if I use my eyes, my ears, my heart. These tiny teachers speak to my heart. They just don't always use words that my ears hear. Autism has taught me to expect the unexpected. Some days, my little teachers will line up everything in a perfectly linear fashion. Other days, they lay out the classroom like a mosh pit of chairs and Legos that got caught in a glue storm and blew through a jungle of sight word cards. I've learned that what happens on Monday will either never be repeated again or will happen so many times on Tuesday that I will forget what life was like without it. Autism has taught me to seek my praise in so many different places. These tiny teachers are unlike those I've had in other classrooms, those who tell me happily that they're so excited to see me. Do some of my current teachers do that? Sure, just not in the way I was accustomed to in other classrooms. Some do it with words, some do it with actions. Excitement might look like allowing me to hold a toy or staring at my hair for 10 minutes. It might not happen at all, or it might come in the form of a 10-minute nonstop explanation of the finer details of a map. Autism has taught me perspective. Take a box, put an octopus in it, bang head against wall, repeat. That's exactly how not to run my classroom. These teachers have guided me to frame and reframe my perspective so I can try to understand theirs. They've taught me that what I've spent nearly a lifetime thinking was right was merely one way to do things. They've taught me to do more, try harder, and be better about understanding not only how they learn, but also how they wish to be heard, respected, and appreciated. Autism has taught me to celebrate all sizes of things. The milestones in my room look oh so different than those in other classrooms. One of the tiny teachers waved to a friend. Celebrate. One of the small teachers recognized her name on a sign-in sheet. Celebrate. One of the young teachers walked down the hall by herself. Well, you know, celebrate. Even the seemingly small wins are huge in my classroom. If you aren't crying happy tears over a tiny teacher coming in from recess without a struggle for the first time in 3 years, you probably are not an adult student in my room. Autism has taught me that love doesn't need words. Love can look like singing a favorite song over and over and allowing me to sing along. It can look like sharing a coveted snack, or it could look like simply making eye contact. On some days, it can include words. Because again, no two of my small teachers are the same, because autism looks, sounds, and feels different for each of my little teachers. But no matter how it comes out, these tiny teachers show love every single day. We just need to know how to receive it. Autism has taught me that I wouldn't have it any other way. And that doesn't mean that it sometimes isn't hard. It doesn't mean that I don't crave the words, or the big milestones, or the traditionally verbal praise, or the day with no overturned chairs. But those moments when the chairs stay upright, in the middle of what could have been an escalation, but turned into self-calming, when tears are followed with a verbal acknowledgement that I am sad, when a change in schedule is met with okay, instead of a frustrated inability to cope, when the shoes get tied or the jacket gets buttoned without help, oh, those moments are pure joy, wrapped in elation, and delivered by a balloon-filled celebration dipped in glitter. I've had to redefine how I gauge my success as a teacher, and that hasn't been easy. But everything that I've had to adjust, change, and redefine is worth it many times over, because this classroom of mine has given back so much more than I could have ever imagined. This classroom of mine, it has taught me how to be a better person. These teachers have taught me how to be a better person. And for that, I thank autism and all these beautiful teachers with my all-in, always learning, ever-changed heart.